Welcome to Silver Bar Stacker, folks. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying their Sunday. That's right, folks. Today is Sunday, and we've got a very special episode because we've got a very unique piece that we're going to be focusing on today. And that piece is a piece produced by none other than USVI Ingot Company. Now, USVI Ingot Company is one of the various refiners that I am very much into collecting. I'm very into collecting USVI pieces, and so USVI pieces, for those who are not familiar, would include but are not limited to our wonderful chunky stackers. And so people are aware of the chunky stackers. They come in the 1 ounce, they come in the 10 ounce variety. They're kind of some of the most commonly recognizable vintage stacker bars, right? So this right here, you have the Scottsdale stackers. You've got a lot of kind of modern stackable bars, and a lot of people like stackable bars. I myself am also one of those individuals who like stackable bars, and so this, I would say, USVI Ingot Company, they produced the original stackers. These were produced in the 1980s, right? And so this is, I would say, the most common and commonly widely recognized stackable vintage bar out there, and it was the first kind of its kind, really, that was sort of mass produced. And so these bars right here, these 10 ounce and even the 1 ounce ones, are really not very difficult to find, but you'll find that there are actually many variations when it comes to these bars, right? So like this one right here is just kind of a common 10 ounce chunky stacker. It's got a unique lot number here. This one's got a 791, whereas this one's got an SA lot number of 996, and so that kind of tells you that, hey, this one's a little bit more of a newer stacker. But regardless, they're all just stackers nonetheless. These are pretty common, pretty easy to come by on the secondary market. Of course, they're not making them anymore because USVI Ingot Company's not around anymore, but these, I would say, are kind of a variety that is more readily available, at least at this time. Now, when it comes down to the USVI ingot collectors who are very, very much into collecting, they'll find that, hey, there's actually other varieties, nuances between the types, right? So you might have a 10 ounce stacker. It's got USVI Ingot Company on the reverse. Well, there's also another variation of the 10 ounce bar where it says A-Mark Precious Metals on the back. And the same goes for the 1 ounce variety. You've got, the 1 ounce stackers that have USVI Ingot Company with the random lot number, and those lot numbers are actually differ a little bit on the 1 ounce variety, but so there's actually more nuances with the 1 ounce stackers versus the 10 ounce stackers. But even on the 1 ounce stackers, you have a version that has USVI Ingot Company on the back, and then you've got a much more rarer, harder to come by version that says A-Mark Precious Metals on the back instead of USVI Ingot Company. And so once you start getting into these different variations, that's where things start to get a little bit, I would say, advanced for the collectors, right? Because the people who know about that stuff, they're willing to pay that higher premium for those slight nuances that might be a little bit harder to come by. And so when it comes down to the USVI Ingot Company pieces, right, we've got the stackers. Those are very widely known, but a lot of people don't know that there's actually other types of products out there. USVI Ingot Company actually produced a few rounds, both pressed and poured, right? And they also have a lot of variations when it comes down to the stackable bars, and they also have some non-stackable bars as well. And so I thought what I would do, because I was actually keeping an eye on an auction that was kind of going on, just to keep an eye on it, because it's a piece that I'm a collector of, and I'm always kind of keeping an eye out for them because they don't really come up that often. And I'm talking actually about the poured USVI ingot rounds. Now, there's a little bit of history about these rounds, and in fact, all USVI ingot pieces actually online. It's well documented by some of the employees that work there. There's actually a nice big blog where they go over all the different variations of USVI Ingot Company products. And so I think that's a really good resource. The same way All Engelhard is a great resource for a wide variety of different vintage refiners, including especially Johnson Matthey and Engelhard. This little blog that you can check out in the link in the description of this video also goes over a lot of the different variations of USVI Ingot Company pieces. And so this is a little box of some of my more rarer, I would say. Not the rarest, but not all of the rare ones, but some of my rare USVI Ingot Company pieces, and today I'd like to actually focus specifically on a very specific piece, and that's actually what you see right here up top, because I was actually keeping an eye on an auction for one of these pieces that really blew my mind. I've never seen anything quite like it. You know, this auction right here, I'll just show you. This auction closed at $1,664 for a single ounce of silver. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And it was actually one of these pieces right here, you know. It was a specific design, which I believe is a little bit harder to come by. The ram's head is a little bit harder to come by. And so that design in particular fetched quite a high premium, you know. I couldn't believe it. $1,664 for a single ounce of silver. And this is exactly what it is that you see, right? Like that's the exact piece that's sold. And you know, these rounds, these poured rounds actually have a couple different kinds of reverses, and so I think this is the exact same reverse, in fact, that was up on auction. And so this piece right here sold for $1,664. That's craziness, absolute craziness. I was not willing to bid that high, not even close. So I stepped away like well before that mark hit, but I just couldn't believe that this thing sold for $1,664. Now I think that that's probably not going to be the case for the other designs. I think something about the Rams had designed must be very difficult to find it with this obverse as well as that reverse, right? You paid attention to that reverse. Now I've got other designs of this as well. Now this right here is a Roman head, and this one is also pretty difficult to come by, but you know, I don't actually know the mintage on these pieces, but I believe they're all less than 1,000 and probably much less than that. And so this actually has a very similar reverse to that one, same exact type of reverse there. So Roman head on this one. So that's two of those types, and these all come with the original packaging. What's interesting about this original packaging is that when these were originally minted, you know, this packaging was thrown away a lot of the time, so it's really quite difficult to actually find these with the original packaging, but finding them at all is just ridiculous in itself. And the spread on the price of what these things sell for is all over the map. I've seen these things sell from, you know, a couple $100 to over $1,000, as we just saw this past week. And so when there's a piece that's this uncommonly brought to the market, when it is available, people do tend to put in their strongest bid, is what ends up happening. And so that's how you end up having some pieces that are truly sought after by multiple people. That's how you kind of see those things sell at ridiculous premiums. Now take a look at this one. This one here is the Pisces design. This one actually, you don't even see it on the USVI Ingot Company website. They don't even have a photo of this one, but it is mentioned there as one of the 7 designs. So I here have 5 of the designs. There's 2 of them that I'm missing. I'm actually missing a bull design, and I'm also missing Mayan head design. So I also do not have the Mayan head design. So this right here, I would say, is the most toned version that I have of any of the ingots. And take a look at this. This one's got a slightly different reverse here. This one says Anaheim 999, but it's got a different reverse than what we just saw. So that is very nice that I happen, unfortunately that's torn there, but it's very nice that I have 2 of the 4 reverse examples. There's 2 other reverses actually that exist out there. So that's interesting. This right here is the sun. We got the sun, so that's also very cool. Also in the original packaging. Let's take a look at the reverse on this. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yes, it's the same as these ones. Take a look at that. This silver ingot is one of 1,000 poured from controlled batch 10163, USVI Ingot Company. Assay certification is on file at Anaheim Metal Company, Anaheim, California. Copyright 1980. So that gives you a nice close-up view of the back here. And so take a look at how imperfect this ingot is here. If you read at the link that I'm going to provide in the description, you'll actually find out how these things were actually made. So that it's kind of made because you see this, there's like a little tube here that they use to kind of press down, and so when they push that tube down, that's the outer part of the tube, and then all this extra silver kind of just spilled over off the sides in an inconsistent fashion. So that's why each and every one of these ingots are very, very different, because they actually had a steel die here, and that's why you see a nice smooth kind of front here, right? They had an actual steel die with this design on it, and that they put on one side, and I believe they had some sort of maybe a graphite mold or something, and then on the other side they had kind of like a, imagine like a toilet paper tube, but it's like made of metal, and that just kind of struck down, right? So that's what caused that sort of like rough edge around, defined edge around the circle. It kind of looks like a metal toilet paper tube kind of coming down with its own die on that side, but then around it, that's where the silver kind of spilled over, and so that's what causes this weird sort of unique shape, and that's what makes these so freaking cool. So go ahead and take a look and read more about these beautiful rounds. You know, there's more rounds out there. You know, this is another round here that I like to collect by USVI that rarely ever comes up. This is more of a pressed round, but it's got a very, very unique shape here. Now, PMG, he actually gave me a very, very cool silver bar, which is not produced by USVI. But the reason that I just absolutely love that so very, very much, and he probably doesn't even know this, but the reason that I love that bar so much and why it really hit close to my heart was because it resembled very much this bar. So let me go ahead and see if I can dig up that beautiful bar that PMG provided me, and we'll see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Funnily enough, this is actually not a bar. It's actually a round as well, and so regardless, I would say that I was very, very happy to receive this beautiful Tri-State Refining vintage round from Poor Man's Gold, because take a look at that. Troy 1 ounce, ounce 1 Troy. Similar design, huh? So I just found that to be very cool. Thanks, PMG. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Cheers!